anybody here chased Corbina already? You guys gave it an effort? David's waving his hand, he's kind of like shaking his head. They're not easy. They're not easy. You've seen them, you got to feed them. I mean, there's a lot of different things that have to go right. And even when you make the perfect cast, you may not be able to close the deal, but that's what keeps you coming back. So to me, they're the super fish. And that was just yesterday. That was a 6-pounder. Probably the biggest one that I've caught so far, easily, about 26 inches. Nice big one, but hopefully we can talk a little bit more about what made that happen. Where was that at? I can't tell you. Did you bring your
I'll
check?
sacrifice.
And I think plastic too. And what's cool for me is my background is surf fishing. That's what we grew up doing, and so it takes me back to my childhood. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? So today we're going to talk a little bit about what this fish is about, its attributes, its shape, how it feeds, etc. We're going to talk about the seasons. You know, when do you have the best chance to score on these great fish? We're going to talk about their range. That's one of the great things about this fish is it's like 30 minutes away from the store. I mean, it's really convenient and easy to access. And then we're going to talk about structure. Probably the most key part of the entire discussion is finding where they live so that you can begin to look for them. And then we'll talk about the gear. I'm all about simplicity. I brought the actual rod, the fly I used yesterday. It's still, where is it? Yeah, it's still tied on. It's still tied on. Don't put your eye on it. And we'll talk about the actual strategy of approaching the fish, working the structure, the cast, the angle, all those kinds of things. And then we'll talk about the actual landing of the fish. I think that's kind of important. Any questions so far? No? We're good? Okay, let's keep rocking. So look at the shape of this thing. I mean, it's built for the surf. It's low profile, it's flat on the bottom. It's got this great coloration. It's kind of silvery. It blends in with the foam and that white sandy bottom. I mean, it really is designed for where it lives. And look at the mouth. The mouth is really, it's important that you guys notice that. Corbina don't feed up. They're not like a redfish. They don't like look up. They don't eat top water. They don't eat dries and all that stuff. They feed ahead and they feed down. And that's a key point to remember with all of your flies and how we're going to rig. And like I just said, it's got that suction mouth. It's a lot like kind of a carp. Anybody here fish carp? Yeah, it's got a similar mouth structure to a carp. And they fight great. I mean, that's great. It's a side benefit. You get them in that surf, and they get out there in that rip, and they're going. Yeah, it's just a lot of fun. The size generally, 18, about 27 inches is the biggest one I've seen. And they generally range 2 to 7 pounds. The ones we catch in the surf tend to be a little on the larger side. And it seems like earlier in the season is when we catch the bigger ones. And I don't know if it's because they're spawning or I don't know the reason, but that's when we tend to see the large ones. So let's talk about what they like. So that's just kind of a quick, based on my records, every Corbina that I've caught since 2013, I've documented the temperature, the tide, the surf, the sky, every possible thing. Being an architect works a bunch of something. But it's all down, and this is what I've come up with. It might be a little different for some, but the peak time is going to be July, August. We saw a few in May, but you know that wind we've had, that wind kind of rolled over the ocean, and it was kind of a day-to-day thing. So May's kind of iffy. We've caught them as early as March, but the peak time has been July and August. What have you found, Tim? About that same? Yeah. About that same time. And then you'll catch them through September, and you might see them as late as October. We got some in October last year, but by then, they're a little wary. I mean, we've been beating them down, we've been seeing every fly, and so forth. So it can be, they can be a little bit more touchy, and then you got weather too. The temperature right now is about 61 to 63 degrees from Will Rogers that's the farthest north I've gone to find these things, down to Balboa. And it's just moving up and down temperature-wise, and it fluctuates, but the peak is around 70. You can find 70, it's game on. They like it. The only thing about July, August is what? School's out. School's out, so you got crowds. So you gotta take that into consideration. But it's great because you can work on your tan.
Is that your guide?
Yeah. I use a lot of resources. I'm really into the internet and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to go over a few of the resources that I use to help narrow down and identify when I should be fishing on a particular beach. So surfline.com is great for that. I mean, here in this instance today, this is a projection. It's got a great projection feature. You can go in there, you can click on a day, and it'll actually map out what the tides are. So today, if I was going to be out there, I might look at that little window right there for a particular beach I'm thinking of, and I can't tell you. But again, so that's a window. I might fish through the low, because I know there's going to be a little bit of water there, because the low is only 1 foot. But again, this is a great tool to look at for projecting today's fishing as well as maybe tomorrow. So take note of that. So next weekend, a little bit different tide structure here. There's going to be a little minus feature and so forth. Maybe I want to go to a different beach, or maybe I'm going to plan my trip a little bit later. You can look at all those things, and that's what's great about this. Another site that's great, and this is actually a shot of Torrance Beach, which is great. I mean, it's some good Corbina fishing to be had there. Is Swell Magnet. They've actually got live cams. Surfline used to have free live cams, but at some point they're like, we're charging. And so you can't get that, but Swell Magnet's good. Take a look, and in this case, you can see some real live footage. It's one thing to visit the NOAA site and look at the frequency of the waves and the swell height, but here you can actually see structure, and that's kind of cool. We like it. Another great site is Wind Alert. There's a couple others, and I think they're designed for guys that windsurf. And at least it gives you a general idea of what to expect in terms of the weather. And sometimes wind is good. Why? Because it drives people off the beach. I'm not just being realistic here. It reduces the amount of beachgoers, and that's a good thing because it affords you less opportunities to endanger them. And so, as well as less foot traffic in the water, which spooks fish. And so don't be afraid of wind. I mean, obviously, this was a day when it was blowing 25 knots. They bite, just like bonefish, permanent. It makes them a little less wary sometimes. The NOAA site, I think everybody's seen this. You can go in there and you can pick your part of the world. In this case, it's Magoo, Point Magoo to San Mateo Point. Gives you an idea of the swell spacing, the height, as well as the anticipated wind. It's never perfect, it's weather, right? As well, now weathermen, right? How often? Half the time? Maybe half the time, right? So, but that's a good resource as well. The range is crazy. I mean, you've got 200 miles of coastline, basically from Point Conception all the way down to the border. That is all potentially Corbina holding water, and that's great. That's great. I mean, it gives us a lot of opportunities. So, doesn't matter if you're all the way up in the valley and you're out there fishing the Ventura County area, or you're down in San Diego. Hidden Imperial Beach, you've got places you can go after these fish, and I think that's awesome. Another thing I need to mention is know your restricted areas. You've got to know where the MLPAs are, so you're not fishing in an area that you're not supposed to. Yeah. I don't want to hear a horror story, but God, Glenn, you told me you got. No, Laguna is shut down. Sorry, you just don't go there. Be aware of where you can fish. Nobody wants to get a ticket because they're not cheap and they take your gear. I don't want anybody taking my stuff.
Wow.
You don't want that. So Ventura County.